Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you how to factor by grouping. Now, factoring by grouping is done when you have 4 terms in your polynomial. And basically, it's very similar to factoring using GCFs. You're just going to do it twice for each problem. All right, so here's the way it works. First of all, this is called grouping because we're going to group the first 2 terms together and the second 2 terms together in order to do this. And then you're going to focus on one set at a time. So focus on just these first 2. The smaller of my 2 coefficients is 3, just like we did in factoring using GCF. So we're going to do the exact same thing. So find all the factors of 3. That's just 1 and 3. Now 3 does go into 12, so that's the number I'm going to choose. So I know that my GCF of the coefficients is 3. They do both have an x, so I'm going to keep an x. And the exponent, the smallest exponent, is 2. So I'm going to have 3x to the second power. And then I'm going to write that down and open up a parentheses so I can do my division. 3 divided by 3 is 1. X to the third over x to the second. Keep the x, subtract the exponent. So that's just x to the first. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. X squared over x squared cancels. Close your parentheses. Now we're going to do that all over again, but with these 2 terms here. Okay? 2 is the smaller of the coefficients. The factors of 2 are 1 and 2. 2 does go into 8, so we're going to use 2. However, they don't both have x's, so I cannot make x part of my GCF. This 2 is positive, so I'm going to put plus 2 and open a parentheses so that I can do my division. 2 divided by 2 is 1. X is not being divided by anything, so just keep the x. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4, and that's it. Close your parentheses. Now take a look at those 2 sets of parentheses. You should notice that they are identical. If they are not identical, you know that you did something wrong. It typically means that your GCF is incorrect. It's the nice thing about factoring by grouping. It kind of has a safety net. Your 2 parentheses here should match so that you know that you're going along and doing it correctly. Now, to write your final answer, it's going to be 2 sets of parentheses right next to each other. One set is going to be the matching parenthesis. So 1x minus 4. The other set of parentheses is going to be your 2 GCFs. So 3x squared plus 2. So 3x squared plus 2. And that would be it. Now it's important to note that you could flip-flop these. You could have the 3x squared plus 2 first and then 1x minus 4 second. It doesn't matter either way. Let's try another. Group first. Find the factors of 8. So we have 1 and 8, 2 and 4. 8 does not go into 14, 4 does not go into 14, but 2 does. They also both have an x, and the smallest exponent is 2, so I'm going to keep x squared. So 2x squared, open a parenthesis, 8 divided by 2 is 4. X to the third over x to the second is x to the second. Oh, sorry, x to the first. 14 divided by 2 is 7. X to the second over x to the second would cancel out. Close your parentheses. All right, now 20 is the smaller of the 2 numbers over here, so I'm going to find the factors of 20. We have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. 20 does not go into 35, neither does 10, but 5 does. So my GCF is going to be 5, and once again, this 35 here doesn't have an x with it, so it cannot be part of your GCF. Since the 5 is positive, I'm going to put plus 5 right here and open a parentheses. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Bring down your x. 35 divided by 5 is 7. Once again, my parentheses match. That's how I know I did it correctly. So 4x plus 7 is one of my parentheses, and the other is my GCFs. So 2x squared plus 5. All right, here we go. Group. Find the factors of 15. So we have 1 and 15, 3 and 5. Now 15 doesn't go into 40, but 5 does. So I'm going to use 5 and an x squared because they both have an x and the smallest exponent is 2. And then let's divide. 15 divided by 5 is 3. X to the third over x to the second is x. 40 divided by 5 is 8. X squareds cancel. All right. Factors of 3, because that's the smaller of the 2 numbers. 3 does not go into 8, but 1 does. So I'm going to divide by 1 and not x because they don't both have an x. That 1 is positive, so bring it on down. 3x divided by 1 is just 3x, and 8 divided by 1 is 8. My parentheses match, so I know I've done it correctly. So then my final answer is going to be 3x plus 8, 5x squared plus 1. Here we go again. Group. The smaller of the two numbers is 8. 1 and 8, 2 and 4. 8 does not go into 14, neither does 4, but 2 does. So I'm going to have a 2 and an x squared. Now when I divide these two terms by that, I'm going to get 7x plus 4. The smaller of the two numbers for my second grouping is 4. 1 and 4, 2 and 2. 4 doesn't go into 7, and neither does 2, so my GCF has to be 1. It's positive, so I'm going to bring it on down. And when I divide each of them by 1, I just get the same thing back again. So that's 7x plus 4. Parentheses match, so my answer is 7x plus 4 times 2x squared plus 1. Turn it over. All right. 4x to the fourth minus 8x to the third is one group. And then the second two are in their own group. All right, we're going to find the factors of 4, which are 1 and 4, 2 and 2. All right, 4 goes into 8, so I'm going to use the 4. And then I'm going to keep x to the third. 4 divided by 4 is 1. X to the fourth divided by x to the third is just x. Negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. And the x to the thirds cancel. All right, the smaller of the two coefficients in the second grouping is 12. So I have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. 12 goes into 24, so I'm going to use a positive 12 here. And then 12, let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself here. They both have x's, so I have to keep the x as well. All right, 12 divided by 12 is 1. X squared over x is x. Negative 24 divided by 12 is negative 2, and the x's cancel. So here, my parentheses match again. I'm going to get 1x minus 2 times 4x to the third plus 12x. Now here's something that we didn't have to worry about in the last problems. There is a GCF here in the second set of parentheses. It's important that you always look for that. There is not a GCF in this one. I know that because it's 1x here and there's no x in the second set. But 4 goes into 12. That means I can divide both of these by 4, and I can also divide them both by x as well. So I'm going to take out a 4x. This set of parentheses is going to stay the same, 1x minus 2. And I'm going to divide each of these by 4x. 4 divided by 4 is 1. X to the third over x is x squared. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and the x's cancel. So that is my full and complete answer there, with the 4x out in front as the GCF of the entire problem. I could have pulled that out right at the beginning, but it's typically harder to see that, so I show kids how to pull it out at the end. All right, let's try this next one. Group, and then we're going to find the GCF of this first set here. So the factors of 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. 6 doesn't go into 9, but 3 does. So I'm going to use a 3 and an x to the third. They both have x's, and 3 is the smallest exponent. When I divide, I get 2x plus 3. Now let's find the factors of 12 for the second group. That's 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. 12 does not go into 18, but 6 does. I'm going to bring down a plus 6 because it's positive, and they both have an x this time, so I'm going to take an x as well. And then when I divide, I'm going to get 2x plus 3 again. Parentheses match, so I have 2x plus 3 and 3x to the third plus 6x. Now, once again, dead giveaway because they both have x's. There's a GCF here. 3 also goes into 6, so I'm going to take out a 3x here. The first parenthesis stays the same, and then I'm going to divide each of these by 3x. And I'm going to end up with 1x squared plus 2. And that's my full and final answer. All right, for these next couple ones, I want to make a small change to the problem. I want to make this a minus instead of a plus, and this one a minus instead of plus. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing that we've been doing here. We're going to group, and then we have 8 over here. We have 1 and 8, 2 and 4. 8 goes into 32. So I'm going to take out an 8 and an x squared. Okay? So now 8 divided by 8 is 1. X to the third over x to the second is just x. Negative 32 divided by 8 is negative 4. X squareds cancel. All right, now the smaller of the two numbers here is 28. So I'm going to use that one. 1 and 28, 2 and 14. 3 doesn't work. 4 and 7. 5 doesn't work, and neither does 6. Okay. Now I need the number that goes into 112. And I believe it's 28, but I'm going to double check just in case. So we're going to do 112 divided by 28, and it does indeed work. So I'm going to use 28 as my GCF. Now, because I changed this to make it minus, and this is the reason why I had you change it. Remember what I said at the beginning of the lesson. If your first number is negative, the first number in the parentheses is negative, or the first number in your polynomial that you're working with is negative, you have to make your GCF negative. So because of that, I'm going to make this a negative 28, and they do not share an x, so I'm not going to use an x there. And when I divide both of these by that, I'm going to get a positive 1 and an x, and then negative 112 divided by negative 8, negative 28 is going to be, I think I've messed this whole problem up because it's going to become positive 4. Go ahead and make this a plus as well so that it works out. All right. So now my parentheses match, and I have 1x minus 4, and I have 8x squared minus 28. Now, you don't immediately notice that there's a GCF because there isn't a parentheses that has x's with both terms, but I notice that 8 and 28 are both even, so at the very least, I know that I can take out a 2. So if I take a look here, the factors of 8 are still up here. 8 does not go into 28, but 4 does. So I'm going to be able to take out a 4 for both of these. I will not take out an x this time, though, because the 28 does not have an x. So put the 4 out in front. The first parenthesis stays the same. And then 8 divided by 4 is 2, x squared, minus 28 divided by 4 is 7. So that would be the full and final answer if I had actually not made a typo and made the problem correct. All right, I have an inkling that I'm also going to have to make this positive, but we'll find out here. I'm just making changes on the fly. All right, so for this last problem here, I know that my GCF has to be 5 because both numbers are 5. So I'm going to have 5x to the third. So that's going to give me 1x minus 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. X to the third over x to the third cancels. And once again, I have 20s here. This first term is negative, so I'm going to take out a negative 20. Yeah, I'm going to have to make that positive. Okay. Oh, they both have x's this time, so I'm going to take out an x. Negative 20 divided by negative 20 is 1. X to the second over x is x. 20 divided by negative 20 is negative 1. The x's cancel. Parentheses match, so I know I'm good to go. 1x minus 1. And 5x to the third minus 20x. Now, once again, there's the dead giveaway. They both have x's, so there's GCF here. 5 also goes into 20, so I'm going to take out a 5x. The first parenthesis stays the same. The second one, 5 divided by 5 is 1. X to the third over x is x squared. Negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4, and the x's cancel. Now this one actually turns into a bonus problem because this can actually be factored, but you guys don't know how to do that yet, so we're going to hold off and I'll teach you how to do that later. And that's it, guys. That's how you factor by grouping.